We're here.
We're here.
Oh my gosh.
Hi.
Wow, with our special guest.
And it's not me.
It's not you tonight.
No, it's Amanda.
It's Amanda Byrd.
Amanda Byrd.
Hi.
Hi.
Amanda
You've
Byrd.
been on a couple times, right? Once at least.
Once at least.
So,
Yep.
and but welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah.
Super
Oh my
excited to
gosh.
have you back
Yeah.
because we are going to be talking a whole lot about wording.
Yes.
Wording.
Wordsmithing.
Making
Wordsmithing.
word thing.
Yes.
Phrasings?
Writing, book writing.
Writing. Book writing. Authoring.
That's what it is.
Authoring. Yes.
Authoring. Yes.
Being authors. Yes.
Yes.
But let's Amanda, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, what you've been up
Because it
to.
has been a while since you've been on. So.
I think this is going to sound super cheesy, but I am going to actually start this with a line from my actual author bio. And then it's,
Get closer to the mic.
and that
Oh, she's good.
it's
Okay.
What's the line?
Amanda Byrd is obsessed with fictional serial killers. Oh, hang on.
Oh, you got to
you-
read
you
your own
have
I
bio.
have to read it
That
because
works.
I don't have it
Wow.
memorized yet.
That's the way to do it.
I mean,
I
you're
guess
totally
that's like a weird
busted.
thing.
Wait,
Yeah.
that's the problem with being an author.
This is how you know that she wrote it.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
just
she's
like that
edited
meme I
it
posted.
47 times in your head.
Well, just like that meme I posted the other day about like you get asked a quote from one of the books that you wrote like years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, just because I wrote it doesn't mean I remember it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what?
Exactly.
I had to purge
I
for the
can-
next book. Yeah.
I can go back and listen to the audio dramas I've written. I'm like, wow, that's a great turn of phrase there. Did I? Oh, that was
Right?
me.
That was
as
me.
I'm-
That was
As
me.
I'm
I
working
did
on the
that.
narration for these, I'm like,
Yeah,
did I really write that?
All right, so go
it
for
is
it.
funny. So go ahead.
Amanda Byrd is obsessed with fictional serial killers. Facts. From Patrick Bateman to Dr. Hannibal Lecter to Dexter Morgan and every butcher in between, Amanda loves figuring out what drives fiction's deadliest monsters. Okay, so seriously, it's not just fiction's deadliest monsters, it is reality's deadliest monsters.
Yes.
I actually just got a super cool heads up about something going on in Austin, Texas right now that the cops are chalking up to drunk dudes falling into a lake.
Right. But there's been several.
There have been several over the past like 4 months. So I am super excited to dig into that and maybe tap into a resource or two if I can, fingers crossed, and see what I can't dig up. Because I really want to know why the cops think there might not be anything sinister going on.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, my first reaction when this person told me was, oh my God, somebody's reading my books. Yeah, that was at like 8 o'clock this morning, and then I've done nothing but laugh about it all day long. I sent it to you. I sent it to a couple other people. I thought that was.
And I'd gotten it from a few other people as well because they're like, "Do you think there's something sinister about this?" And I'm just like, "Well, there's definitely more to it than I think the police are saying." But but that's
Yeah.
I am not
Absolutely.
I am not an expert on that stuff.
100%. Coming from a psych major, it's probably they have a connection, and that connection is one woman, maybe two.
All right.
That's just from psych
You heard
major
it.
to
Austin Police. Contact Amanda Byrd.
right? Let me help you figure this out. Come on.
AmandaByrdAuthor.com.
I need more
And so-
material for my books. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how my serial killer does things. You're going to have to read the books to find out. But yeah, that's what I do. I write serial killers. I have a weird thing with serial killers, but I mean, now apparently that's a totally cool thing when 10 years ago it wasn't. And you've known me long enough that, I've always been Hannibal Lecter, Dexter, Patrick Bateman, Jeffrey Dahmer. Don't get me started on Ted Bundy ever. That's a conversation you will never, ever win. Though I will say,
I loved him in Married with Children. Sorry, wrong Bundy. Wrong Bundy.
The Bundy Bulge.
I will say Ted Bundy does share some similarities with my soon-to-be ex-husband. Though he's not a serial killer. He couldn't be if he tried.
Yeah.
And I'd know.
And you know, exactly.
Like I would
Exactly.
absolutely. That's not something you're going to hide from
It's
me.
one of those-
of all people.
The reason I love Amanda so much is we always joke about, one of the first things we joked about was, friends help you move, real friends help you move the bodies.
Yes.
And that was
100%.
And that was when Amanda and I were like,
fact.
okay, yeah, this is good.
True fact.
This is good. So
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm not saying if you need help, but if you need help,
There are resources for you.
Read a book.
And read a book. There you go.
And
It's all out there. And by the way, do not check it out from the library. Do not buy it on Amazon after searching for it, okay? Find
Definitely
it
don't buy it from
accidentally
Amazon.
somewhere.
Please don't buy it from Amazon.
No.
I have my own grievances with that, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh my gosh. But anyway, yeah, that's. We will talk more on books in a minute. But the other thing we're going to talk about today is this is the end of spring sci-fi wrap-up because we had...
Holy cow, has it been a week.
2 major series ended.
Yep.
We had a couple big movies come out and and it's the end of the summer movie, the beginning of the summer movie rush, the end of the spring movie rush.
Yeah.
Because we're coming out of that log jam from 2020 where nothing was able to be made. So all these actors were under contract, all these writers were under contract, all these things were under contract, and they had to be done as soon as they could to make their money back. And so now that's why we're getting literally 5 movies a week. Right now a year ago we had 1 movie come out every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're blessed with some of this, but it's also, I haven't gone out to see every new movie that came out.
Oh God, no.
My daughter went and saw Rainfield without me, which made me feel bad, but I just was not up to it. But I've heard wonderful things. That Nick Cage being Dracula. Come on, how cool is that going to be?
I have been stuck behind either a Chromebook or my laptop all day, every day for the past 4, almost 5 months. So I don't even know what half of this is.
We had a whole long episode about the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
And I haven't seen it yet, and I want to.
No spoilers, but they live.
Yeah, and it's good.
Well, I mean, I'm not a Chris Pine fan, so I'm not in a rush.
But
movie. Also for everybody to be saying that it's super fun.
And it has nothing to do with Chris Pine. It's just a good character.
He's just a good character in it.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Is he the Bard?
Good character.
He's the Bard, which is perfect for him.
And it's
works for
it's
him.
well played.
It works for him. Michelle Rodriguez steals the show, so it's all good. So, but that said, we are all reeling from the series finales.
Oh my God, yes. Between Picard, and The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And it was just a little bit before that, the Bad Batch finished.
Bad Batch finished.
So we've had just this 1, 2, 3, and I mean, Picard was a roller coaster ride, finally. It's like somebody got in there who actually said, you know what? Star Trek can be fun.
Yep. And let's make up for the fact that all the next gen movies sucked, and all the next gen, except maybe First Contact, and then all the last 2 seasons of Picard have been terrible. So let's do it right and let's fix it. So that is what they did. They brought back the things Patrick Stewart said when he signed up for Picard. He's like, I don't want this to be a next gen reunion with just cameos and all this, and that's why the first 2 seasons were pretty much terrible. And now the 3rd season came out, and they're like, hey, guess what, Patrick Stewart? We're going to bring back everybody. We're going to bring back everything. And
not a cameo. They all have roles.
Actual parts and full story in it. And it really advances the plot. Nobody's in there just for filler.
Nope.
Everybody is in there.
Everybody plays a hugely important role.
And now...
Jack Black.
Well, that's Mandalorian. We'll get into that in a minute.
We'll get there in a minute.
But Picard, and then at the end, it's so over the top and so incredible. But of course, they default back to. All right, so there's going to be a lot of spoilers on this episode, gang.
So go watch it and then come back and watch the rest of this.
Come back to us on Area 52 TV or YouTube or whatever, and find us later. But spoilers now. They bring it back to the Borg again. And they were like, we haven't seen the Borg in 10 years. They were just in the last season.
They were in last season,
and the season before. Okay. And
I know.
I'm like, wait, what?
I thought you just defeated the Borg forever in the last season.
Oh, it's a different Borg.
But now
this is the
it's
OG
like a
Borg,
remnant Borg. Okay,
and then they bring back Alice Krige from First Contact because we got to bring her back.
Yeah, which was phenomenal. I mean, it really was a case of the planning on this was as good as the planning on Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
To bring in all of these elements that the fans love. To wrap it around, it's ultimate fan service, even with fourth wall commentary.
Yeah.
It's like well, Picard, or, Admiral, you're not going alone. I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commander Riker. And then Worf saying, and I will make it a threesome.
Yeah, basically.
And the thing is, Riker turns to him and says, do you even listen to yourself? I mean, it was brilliant. It's like total fourth wall break. Nobody in 400 years is going to use that phrase.
No.
But it was just like, bam, right on the money.
It was good. And
it's what we were all thinking.
Yeah, and there was so many good bits. And then the last part of the episode, to my point, was then they brought back Data again, and I'm like, oh no, they're going to ruin that they had given Data actually a pretty decent send off in season 1. But no, they did it.
No, they brought it back beautifully,
and that actually was the bar. I'm like, at this point, it's bunch of member berries. It is literally like they're hitting you with all the things, and it's like.
And then, I mean, even to the point where in what should be the après credit if it were a Marvel movie, and this is complete spoilers. Everybody, get ready. Yeah. I mean, they even bring back Q, who's dead. And he explains it perfectly. Yeah. He says, "Oh, you're so linear," and it's like, well, no, he could have done all of this before he died because he pops back and forth in time. Yeah. And so he could very well be here dealing with Jack Crusher, and all this stuff. He doesn't change the plot at all. So, but it really is set up for Enterprise G.
Right.
And
which could be a legacy show.
I think it's going to be good. Everybody wants to see Captain. Now, wouldn't it be Captain 9 because 7 is like her first name, and she's of 9. That's like a family name, so she'd actually be Captain of 9. Of would be her middle name, so it would be Captain 9.
Unless she's like the Mandalorians, because we learned a new thing about Mandalorians this season. So. But let's. All right. So anyway, Picard.
Yeah, but we know how numbers work. Okay, you can't change that.
Picard, worth your time. Definitely third season. If you haven't watched the first season, or if you gave up on it, this is what you want.
Watch the third season.
You'll want this.
This has been the Next Generation finale.
That we
always prayed they would ever make.
Because they went right from All Good Things right into the movies. Yeah. And Generations, I think, came out the same year that Next Gen TV show ended.
Yeah.
And they've never had a chance to have a really good movie. The First Contact was as close as they ever got, and this is better than that.
This is much better than that. Yeah. This whole thing, there's so much action.
And like I said,
all of it.
And the member berries, there's a couple episodes where you're like, all right, they're in the Fleet Museum, and there's some fun little throwaway bits, and
it's not throwaway bits.
And they're not, but they come back to bite you at the end.
Back
so
to win.
Good.
They put that gun on the table in Act 1.
Yeah.
And they picked it up in Act 3 hard.
Yeah.
It really mattered.
Let's talk about the other star show that is. This was a tough one for me because I loved first season of Mandalorian.
Okay.
Same.
I liked second season of Mandalorian. Didn't hate it. Boba Fett, I tolerated.
That was filler junk.
Yeah, exactly. And that is my problem with all of season 2 of Mandalorian, and now season 3.
Season 3 isn't even filler. Season 3 is a whole lot of WTF. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Jon Favreau. Yeah. We praise you for doing something right with Star Wars, because Cthulhu knows Kathleen Kennedy needs to be out. I'm sorry.
We've all said that.
She has ruined it for all of us.
Yeah, we've all.
Are you suggesting they've assassinated the wrong Kennedy?
Absolutely.
Is that really where you're going?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That is where I'm at with that.
This is what time travel screws up.
Right? Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Harkness, please come save us. Yeah. Please.
Yes.
We are in the darkest timeline.
We really are. But so she just shouldn't be there. She needs a new job.
No. But aside from that,
I think Favreau needs a new job too. Like, we praise him so much for doing what he did with season 1, and then season 2 is kind of like, Season 3 is like, I just wasted, I don't even know how much time in my life, because the episodes are inconsistent runtimes.
Yep.
The storyline is like here, there. It's like a kid throwing a ball at a wall, and the dog's catching it, dropping it, falling down the stairs. Nobody knows which direction it was going. And literally, it could have taken 10 minutes to tell the entire 8-episode storyline.
That is exactly the problem.
And it went in so many different directions. That Jack Black comment that I coughed out earlier.
No, that's fine.
Why?
Go ahead.
Like, why was he even in it? Why?
Because he asked to be
Because
in
he's
it.
a fan and he happened to be
I
there.
mean,
Fan
I
service.
get it, but
Yeah, he and Lizzo
it
show up
was-
in that episode.
that episode just like blew my mind. And Katie Sackhoff, nerds, humblest apologies to all of my fellow nerds in the nerddom, no matter where you are in the nerddom. Katie Sackhoff is my least favorite actress on the face of this planet. I am so sick of seeing her face, hearing her name. I disliked her.
She was Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. I disliked
sorry.
her. I don't like her as an
Starbucks.
actress.
Yeah, Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Where
not
she was
a
good
fan
at
of her.
Starbucks. That was the last time I liked her.
Her as an
I'll be honest.
actress
I think
just kills me.
I think in this, she did the voice for the character on Clone Wars, I think.
Yeah.
And which was voice work. So it's a lot more animated. Now here she's actually in the armor.
And the thing is,
her facial expressions and her mouth piss me off.
She has like
I just get so irrationally
felt
angry
like
when
just
she
pretty
speaks
much
and the
had-
camera's on her face. I'm just like,
well,
Teddy from Nip Tuck, STFU, get off my screen.
She has two facial expressions.
Right.
Correct.
Which is deadpan and small smile.
Well, small
That's
smile.
it.
Correct.
That's it.
Which is
Smirk.
way more
All
range
she
than
gets.
what's her
Which is
face
fine.
from Twilight has.
Yeah.
But like,
Kristen Stewart.
I
Love
think
it.
I like the girl from Twilight better, and I've never even seen the Twilight movies because vampires don't effing sparkle. I do
What's
look at my
funny
face,
is,
I
like,
see
I
it
watched
sparkling in my eyes.
Last of Us recently, and then the young girl in Last of Us.
Oh, that girl is amazing. I love
She
her.
has the same two expressions for the longest first few episodes.
Yeah.
And then,
But then it opens up.
she becomes this amazing actress.
but then she has to.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's her
That
character
girl
development.
is me as a
Yeah.
child. She
And
drops
you know
the
what?
F-bomb as much as I do.
Yeah.
This is really all getting around to this idea of character development and where it goes. Because my beef with the Mandalorian was that his entire character arc topped out at the end of episode 3, maybe in the first season,
Maybe.
and then it just stayed exactly the same.
I mean,
he never changed.
the
He never
original-
alters. He never rethinks anything.
Right.
Nothing happens except stuff happening to him.
Yeah, but it's very much, what it was supposed to be a Wild West Western in space, and it was very much lone wolf and cub, where he's got the kid and he's got random missions. But I think what we're talking about with Favreau, the rumor was that Favreau at the end of season 2, they gave Grogu to Luke Skywalker, and that was going to be the end of Grogu. We weren't going to see Grogu again, maybe ever, or at least a number of years. But the theme parks and Disney was like, oh my God, we need to sell more Grogus. And we're going to blow up the Razor Crest, and you're going to have a new toy because we need to sell new spaceship toys. Even though the Razor Crest toy hadn't come out yet.
No, but that's because the Razor Crest was too hard to make. But if you use one of those little, flyers from
all the crap we got stuck with from the prequels that we the
we have the
molds are still
for
sitting
that
out
one.
here.
So let's go ahead and we'll use that rather than trying to make this monstrosity of the Razor Crest.
And we always go to Tatooine in an episode to meet the funny mechanic.
Yeah.
And it was 20 minutes.
Speaking of the funny mechanic, what were her little things with the glasses that Grogu was trying to keep as a pet?
Oh, they're from the new series. They're
like
from
in real life, I need one of those little guys.
Movies.
And they have
Babu
to be
Frick was the guy.
Oh, those little things.
Those little things.
They have to be super sassy. I need one.
All right. But anyway, she's there, and there's a bit with her with a Greedo guy that she stole his motor, to sell him a new motor, and they just repainted
it's the same motor. They're giving it back.
And it was a cute little bit, but it went on for like 12 minutes, and then Mando comes in, talks to her for like 10 minutes, and she's like, "Oh no, I can't fix your IG-88."
I cannot tell you how many of the first episodes this season I realized I got to the end, and I'm like, "Oh my God, those are the end credits." I've been
yep. And it
fell asleep.
So here's R5D4.
I read a book, or I messed around and played games on my phone.
Yeah. So here's R5D4 from the original trilogy. We're going to redeem him. Because you can't have anything new. It's got to be something that's 100 years old.
Okay, speaking of new, Moff Gideon, first of all, Moff Gideon came back. Oh my God, he escaped. Like, I shrieked. I'm pretty sure I woke up my downstairs neighbors. My cat looked at me like, yo, this ain't cool. Shush, Mom. I was just so excited.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
excited. Like
that
my
was
throat
great
hurts right now because of
for-
it. But during his meeting with all of the heads, he brought up one very specific character, which makes me wonder if they are opening the door to finally give fans what they want. I can't say it's something I want just because I have not read the series. Tim's on. Please don't kill me. I love you.
Oh, Tim. Sorry.
Thrawn.
Yeah.
He asked where Admiral Thrawn was.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And they mentioned Thrawn way
is
back
coming
in
back
season 2.
In
but are
the
they going to
Ahsoka
bring
series.
him in? Are they finally going to bring him in?
Ahsoka,
No,
the spin-off
he's
series.
part of the Ahsoka series.
So they're gonna really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not in Mandalorian.
He's not a big enough character
No.
to get his own
Mandalorian's
series?
done.
Yeah.
No. He's going to be the arch nemesis in Ahsoka. That's where that's
because
headed.
they announced that
Yeah.
like right at Star Wars Celebration.
Okay.
And it's
Who's the writer on that show?
Dave Filoni, the guy who
Damn it, Filoni, get your
yes.
shit together.
Well, the thing is, Dave Filoni, that's why we got all these Rebels characters on this
Yes.
show. The whole Bo-Katan thing was Dave Filoni tying up all his Rebel stuff so he could tie it into the Ahsoka show. And I think Favreau just kind of sat this season out because he's like,
that could be completely why
I
this
think
season
that's what
was
happened.
just. Oh,
I think
the
he wrote
only
one.
good
He
thing
wrote
of the
one
season?
episode. The one episode he wrote was where they go up onto the mountain to rescue the big guy's
Yes.
The kid.
son, the
Okay.
kid's son. That's the only episode Favreau wrote this season, I believe. I may be
Also,
wrong.
I
If
want one
we're
of those
wrong,
dinosaurs.
please put it in the
They were
in the
pretty
chat.
cool.
So,
I really
want one of the
those.
babies to train.
Oh no, I want the grown one. Yeah,
My
but
horses will love
well,
them.
what's funny, you
I
notice
want
they
the
weren't
grown one
around
so I can
anymore
fly on it.
after that. And if you look at the big party with all the Mandalorians together, there's a bunch of giant birds up on the spit roast. So I
Yeah.
think they actually ate them. So
Probably.
I
that's how
missed
they
that
wrote them
part.
out. I
I
think that's
missed
how they
that
wrote them
part.
out of the show. So
Oh, that's
just a quick little.
wrong.
also
think
another
that was a quick
really
little
weird
write-out.
thing. Like, you're no longer a Mando if you take your helmet off.
Right.
Well, one sect believes that way.
Yes.
Bo-Katan runs around without one 90% of the season.
Of course.
Because
Because she's
They're
Bo
from a
friggin'
different
Katan,
sect.
and
Yeah.
she ruled Mandalore and blah, 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 blah,
and because
blah.
she's the only name actor they have left because Pedro Pascal was never actually on set.
Emily Swallow
No.
is hot, and she's
oh man,
awesome.
she's freaking amazing. Yes.
The armorer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot stand that she doesn't take her helmet off.
Yeah.
She
I'm
can't.
like,
She's not allowed to.
Nope.
That would break the
Nope.
character. So
Yep.
but she can. She totally
I
can.
know, she does
I
it
feel like
comically.
You
she's
are
being,
assuming she's in there.
I
Yeah.
feel like
She
she's
is.
being
These were
done
all body
such,
doubles.
A lot of them
such
were.
an
Yeah.
injustice that I do think it's a body double because everything I've seen her in, like whatever season, I can't remember off the top of my head. She was in a few seasons of, or at least one season of Supernatural. As
Supernatural.
Samara.
Yep.
She played Samara, God's sister.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
She-
serious nerd cred, Emily Swallow. So yeah.
Yeah, like she's awesome. Speaking of nerd cred, sidetrack for a second here. I just saw a Rocket Mortgage commercial with Felicia Day. And
Yes.
cry.
Yes.
I was like, what is happening?
Where
to
is
the
she?
nerds?
How is she doing this? Yeah, I agreed.
was so sad.
That totally pulled me out of whatever funk I was in because I was like, "What is that, Felicia?"
Yeah, same. I was like, I dropped what I was doing. I stopped eating dinner and I was like, what?
No, but
Is that? I was very upset.
no, Mandalorian. Like I said, there were scenes like the whole first exploring the planet episode, going back to Mandalore.
Yeah.
where he flies to visit her, and she's all punk.
What was that episode?
Punk on her chair where she's like pouting because nobody's there and she lost, nobody cares. So then he goes over to Mandalore and he sends the robot out to check for atmosphere, but you flew through the atmosphere to get here.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's like 10 minutes of slow walking everywhere. Slow walking through
Yeah.
the tunnel, slow walking through this.
Whole
They're like,
episode.
yeah,
And
okay, we
that's-
have to make 10 episodes.
Into
so
2
we're going to go
hours.
ahead
Yep.
and try to figure out what else we can do in this episode because it's really only 16 minutes
And then he
long.
gets captured by the General Grievous thing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then there's 30 minutes of
I mean-
R5D4 getting her.
The trolls in the ceiling that
So
she shot
Astromechs
down
can fly
were pretty
ships
cool.
alone now. So
That was cool.
yeah, but yeah, again, it was a bunch of little tiny things.
Yeah.
That, it was a 10-minute episode if it wasn't for that.
And
Yeah.
the
And
only
didn't that
thing.
episode end up being like 38 minutes or something like
I
that?
like
Probably.
Critical Drinker did it best. One of our YouTube buddies, he mentioned that like if they hadn't done slow walks for absolutely every other shot in this season, that could have been the Mines of Moria slow walk that just scares you. What's building up to this?
Yes.
But the fact that they did slow walks for everything.
Yeah.
You're just like, I like this season of Mandalorian. It was just one of those.
Now,
Thank
that
God we're done.
episode ended up having an absolutely crucial element in it, though.
Yes.
That comes back. It's the gun put on the table.
Yeah.
Okay, she saves Mando's life after Mando loses, the blade.
Yeah.
And so she gets the blade. That's incredibly important. But, God, they made us pay for
Well, the
that.
blade wasn't even his in the first place.
Yeah. Well, he had gotten it from.
He didn't best her.
No, but he bested.
No.
He bested
Moff Gideon.
Who had
Moff
bested
Gideon
her.
had the blade.
That's
where it came from. And so it actually went from him to her, and then, of course, to Crunch. But
back to the
whatever.
Moff thing.
Yes.
The killing him off 2 seconds later.
when they invaded that rock, basically, I'm like, y'all are walking into a trap, like trying not to scream at the TV. Finally, I just put my face in the Kindle and I was like, I can't even focus because I'm so like annoyed. This is the most ridiculous thing. Like, you can tell it's a trap the second they get there.
Yeah.
And then he's like, ambush. And I'm like, no, homie, it's a trap. That's kind of a bit of a difference because that door's going to close behind you. And then it did. And my cat's looking at me because I'm freaking out. She's on my lap and she's like, if you don't stop right now, I'm going to eat your face, woman.
I will say this, 9-year-old me would have loved the jetpack battle. But 50-year-old me was like, "Oh, it's a jetpack battle," and it was like
not that.
It wasn't.
It really wasn't.
It
there was
literally
like a
looked
whole
like
lot of nothing to it.
Flies and bees just swarming
and
each
can we
other.
talk about the troopers actually being able to hit their damn target?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, they could hit, but now the armor protects them, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
now
so
they can
everything
actually
bounces
hit.
off anyway.
Right,
Yeah,
but
so-
they never hit their targets.
Well,
so the
yeah.
fact that they're hitting now, I'm like, whoa, that's not canon.
Yeah, I wanted to see. I did want to see. I did want to see Grogu when he was fighting the Praetorian guards and he pulls like one of their weapons away from
Those
him.
were the
I wanted to
big
see him
red ones, right?
Yeah.
I loved them.
I
thought
actually
they were
wanted to
so
see him
badass.
actually use one of the weapons for like 2 seconds.
Right, that would have been
I'm like,
super
come on,
cool.
that's what he needed to do. He knows
because
how to fight
the kid's
now.
got the
Come
force,
on.
even though he's like 50 years old and yay big.
Yeah.
Like,
And can't talk.
oh, but he can.
With the
Yes.
Taika Waititi.
Yes.
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 Well, he's got some speech coming through, which is great and all, but like
It's still just
all
baby
those little
noises,
growls were killing me.
Yeah.
Like those were like the highlights.
We're still
of
waiting
every
on
single
Mama and
episode for
Dada,
me.
which, I think at 50.
I
come
think
on.
the first thing he's
I think
going to say is
I think
Din
he's-
Grogu.
Well,
what,
now-
what is that?
Yeah, that was, I said, that we're back to where we're talking about
Yes.
7 of 9. It's
Nomenclature.
Now, so we've been calling him Din for forever. Should we have been calling him Djarin? So, and, that's...
Yeah, I think Jaren might actually be his name, and then
Yeah, Din is the family name.
Yeah.
So that's I guess that's Mandalorian naming, which we didn't know before this. So that wasn't
Well,
a name.
We
so-
know it now, and it's
Well,
Din
hold on a
Grogu.
minute. It would not be Mandalorian naming.
No, it would be what?
He's not Mandalorian.
that's
No.
right.
Oh, that's right. He's a Mandalorian apprentice.
Yes. He's not really a Mando.
Yep.
So what's going to happen when Grogu is actually like a Jedi Mando? Like,
Nothing. They're all
is he
retired
gonna
and living
drop
on a
the-
farm.
Is he going to drop the Din and he's going to be like,
Okay.
He's going
I
to be
don't
just
know.
like that.
All right,
Whatever it
and
is,
now-
like
wherever
Obi-Wan
you're going.
Grogu or
The-
something weird?
My one plus that whole season was Christopher Lloyd in the cameo episode where we had the Jack Black and we had the Lizzo cameo, which made
Christopher
no
Lloyd
sense.
being the bad guy
Yes.
as usual.
So Christopher Lloyd being
Love
the
it.
little cameo, being the bad guy, and he has the whole separatist Dooku
Yes.
was right
Yep.
speech, which made me happy. Because I go all the way back.
You messaged me when
Yeah,
I told you I was in Facebook jail. You're like, Dooku was right.
So I was like, yes, Dooku was right. Give me anything, Christopher Lee. He's the bomb. So
There you go.
And that was 100%. And so yes, that episode was terrible, and it had again no purpose,
None
whatsoever.
Most of the episodes had no purpose.
No, exactly. And and it's so funny that if you'd told me last year that I would like Picard season 3 more than I like Mandalorian season 3, I would have laughed at you. And now I'm like, damn,
I couldn't understand what all the jokes were about the inconsistent runtime and like
Oh, yeah.
everything was so like jarring. I actually found myself thinking, what would happen if they threw, say, Jar Jar Binks in?
Oh, I know. At this point, they might.
That might
Well, and
actually
then they
make it better.
did.
And I don't like Jar Jar Binks.
But
I
they
can't
did. He
stand
was the
Jar Jar
Jedi
Binks.
that saves Grogu from in the flashback was Ahmad Best, the guy who plays Jar Jar. And that's why it was also a trip because he had done a kid show like it was like Legends of the Hidden Temple. It was like Legends of the Jedi Temple or something.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the
That's
first
funny.
Disney Plus things. And he was a Jedi who takes care of younglings. So it was kind of a neat throwback. So I actually enjoyed that little bit. But again, it was like, okay, so how many Jedi have survived Order 66? All of them?
Right?
You know?
Right?
I mean, look,
Like-
I get Ahsoka surviving.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
She wasn't a Jedi.
She wasn't a Jedi at the time. Yeah.
No, not ever.
Oh, that's right.
She
yes.
never ascended to get the title. And so she got to skip out on a technicality.
All right.
Because she was probably a pretty damn powerful Jedi,
Yeah.
and it was just a formality. But the fact was, I mean, other than Obi-Wan, what other actual Jedis have we seen that survived?
Yoda.
Okay, Yoda,
Yoda.
Obi-Wan. Well, we don't see Yoda, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we know he was
Right.
not
Yeah.
there. Yeah. And then now this
everybody else
Ahmad
was like,
Best's
I
character,
wanted to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
I was hoping to be a Jedi.
Okay.
The Force is strong with me, so I act like a Jedi. I fool people with practical effects into thinking I'm a Jedi.
Ray
You know.
Skywalker.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. There you go.
I'm a Ray
Liar.
fan. I'm
All
a Ray
right.
fan.
Sorry.
All right. So what is
Okay.
so our overall review of Mandalorian, was it worth your time?
No.
Okay. Ooh, that's harsh.
That's hard.
I'd say
Did you notice there was no hesitation there?
no. I'd say 5 out of 10. It's an old school. Again, I think it reminded me a lot of Rise of Skywalker, where it's just ticking boxes to get through the episodes.
The Rise of
For me,
Skywalker.
it was conditional.
Yeah.
If this is the final season,
Which
and
is,
they aren't going to make any more,
no, they are.
then they are.
That's what is the reset. They already announced season 4. Yeah,
Oh.
that was the end. Was the reset to go back to the original Lone Wolf and Cub style
Okay.
story.
Well, that was my point.
That was a terrible
Was that
reset.
if this is the final season, then yes, it's worth watching.
Right.
If this is not the final season, then it can just go blow itself up
Yeah.
because nothing happened.
Nothing happened
Can I-
except for the return of Mandalore, which who cares?
No.
Can,
Okay.
can I piggyback on that for a second?
Please.
If it was the final season, it's a Netflix show at that point.
Yeah, well, and it should have been
Netflix killed
Yeah.
all of the good stuff after season 3.
Vostek is this is the way. Yeah, but no, I think it definitely for me this should have been a movie instead of a 10-hour
Yes.
series. It should have been.
It wasn't even 10 hours.
No, it was less than 8.
It was like 6.
So, yep.
Yeah.
So
And it only needed to be 3.
yeah, if that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Saturday afternoon special.
Yep. There you go.
But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
that's Mando. That's Picard. So that's the spring fantasy
Yeah,
stuff.
those two are good. Now, Bad Batch.
I
Bad
really
Batch,
hope
I
nobody is
didn't
still
watch
watching
all
that
of it
hasn't
yet,
seen it
I
all
will
yet.
say Bad Batch ended, and I'm like waiting for the next episode to drop.
Okay, it was like that.
Because it's like, okay, so when's the next? Why is there no? Why are they skipping?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then I'm like, oh, that was a cliffhanger. Oh, okay.
Season.
And the thing about so many of these is, Doctor Who first season with the new Doctor. What's her name?
Jodie Whittaker.
With Jodie. Okay, you could watch the first episode and the last episode, and none of the other 4 or 5 in between mattered.
Yeah.
None of them made any difference. And they're like, look, we have a season arc because the first episode doesn't end until the last episode ends. It was awful.
Yeah.
With this,
The only episode that mattered was the one with Patang.
okay. With this,
Agreed.
with this series, this season of Bad Batch,
Yeah.
it ended up, it's like going here and here and here and here, and they kind of got a theme going on, but nothing's really happening. And then you get to the end, and there's this big build-up, and this big thing, finally, in the last 2 episodes, it just like this big thing happens, and it's like, okay, where's the next episode? Now that something is finally relating to an arc of some sort, and that's it, you were done.
Yeah.
That was the end of it. And it's like, what? Huh? Yeah. So the only thing you need to watch from Bad Batch is the last 2 episodes.
Well, there you go.
So watch
Nothing else matters.
So watch like the prior season and then the last 2 episodes.
The last 2 episodes of this thing, because really nothing else
Good to
matters.
know.
That seems to be, well, and again, that's Dave Filoni Right.
I mean, it's like
that's apparently
it's
his modus operandi.
He doesn't
now,
understand the concept of a season arc.
Did he take lessons from Kennedy?
Well, I think
maybe he should go too.
Who knows? Who knows? But anyway,
didn't Disney just get what's his name back?
Who?
The last CEO that left, and then they fired the other one and begged him to come back.
Yeah. Chapek and Iger, that whole situation.
Yeah, Iger's back.
All right.
Temporary.
Fingers crossed.
Let's get back to why we have you here today. So as much as we
geek out?
No, we have you here to geek out, but we are here to talk author stuff, how to be an author, why you want to be an author, the perils, the pitfalls. But one of the first things I want to say was I was driving to a conference. I was actually to the Bigfoot conference.
Okay.
And where I am a guest speaker, and I am selling my best-selling novels and autographing them for my fans. Listening to our podcast, Eerie Travels, on the road up, forcing people to listen to it who hadn't heard it. And and I'm just listening, and my phone rings, and it says such and such publications, and I'm like, I do have a couple things out for potential, that aren't with my two main publishers. So I was like, oh, maybe this is one of the short story publication things calling me back or something. And it was a total know-before type scam call where it was, hello, Mark Muncy. I am with this publishing company, and we would like to publish your book, Irie Apalakia Indrid Cole's Smiling Man. They're reading my book title, obviously knowing nothing about me, saying, we think this could be a bestseller and we'll republish it.
Did you tell them it already is?
I was like, it already is a best-selling book, and I am with a traditional publisher. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a scam call. And I'm like, do they really do this to people? And
how did they even get your phone number?
It's just in the algorithms. It's in the world. It's in the world out there.
And so at that point, you start dragging them along.
Well, and that was what I did. Was I went off. I was like, oh really? I can get on the New York Times bestseller list. And like, oh yeah, we can totally do that. And it only cost you this much money for us to reprint it and republish it under
What was the number they gave you?
It was like $3,000. And all this, and I'm like,
we know people who pay twice that for one book cover.
Yeah, but that's just it. I'm like, people fall for this. This is all these, and then you hear the ads on the radio or on other podcasts that we're talking about. We'll get your book into bookstores. We'll get your book, out there, and you've got a book. We know you want to write a book. We'll publish you, and of course, they're scams.
How hard it is to get your book into a bookstore that doesn't accept consignment? That was loud. How hard it is to get your book into a bookstore that doesn't accept consignment? Barnes & Noble, there is a big thing going on right now where authors are being told by certain Barnes & Noble locations that they can no longer order POD print books.
Yeah.
But they also don't offer consignment, which is really weird. So there's a group that's trying to get official word from Barnes & Noble, from the higher level, to figure out what's going on, because there are other stores that are like, we can still buy POD. We don't know why they're telling you that.
What POD is, for those of you at home who don't know the term,
just going to get there.
Print on demand, which is a lot of self-publish. That's how a lot of it works through. A lot of
Amazon works that way. Okay, in that the physical books are not sitting in a warehouse. When you order the book, they literally print it, cover it, and ship it like fresh. I mean, it is totally made to order.
Not entirely true. Amazon actually does do a small batch print run.
Well, okay, they might.
Or if you're like me and you distribute through Ingram, they order like 10 copies.
Right.
And then, as time goes on. Super fun fact, sometimes Amazon will discount your paperback book or your hardcover book to match your ebook price.
Isn't that wonderful?
Well, fun fact, if you've already been paid for it by Ingram Spark, like me, then you already got your full royalty rate.
Yep.
If you're POD through KDP, if you're publishing through Amazon, you still get your full royalty rate. So either way, Amazon's kind of taking a hit there.
And they'll do that sometimes to spur sales. So, yeah.
And then as soon as a couple copies sell, bang,
that's fine.
back
They
up to
can go
normal
ahead
price.
and invest.
I'm still trying to get them to put this one back to normal price. They refuse.
No, and that's part of the problem with self-print.
Considering how much money I don't make on print copies unless I sell them through my website or at an event, because as much as I enjoy publishing through Ingram, their pricing
they have
is
issues
dumb.
as well. They have issues as well.
Their pricing
Everything
is dumb.
has issues. And the thing is, some of these places,
Indies get
they're
screwed.
technically not scams.
No, not at all.
These are not.
No. I'm talking about some of these people that are out there with ads and they're repping. They're actually helping people navigate this stuff. Because think about what we know. I mean, when you say Ingram, I know what you're talking about. Okay, but how many people out there, they're talking to their local print shop. And I mean, I've seen people, they've got a paperback like this, which at Ingram is, probably like $9 to have printed, okay, ready to go, or less.
If that.
Okay,
If that.
so let's just say that, okay? They're out there, they're literally paying $17 for this book.
Yeah.
Okay, because the publishing company they're working with, the printer they're working with, is getting it from Ingram.
Yeah.
Okay, for $8 or $9.
Yep.
And so they're turning it around, and they're getting it back because Ingram is so ridiculously cheap compared to everyone else.
And then,
they have to be wholesaling.
And everybody talks about.
Well, you want to find these things, you want to know these things, you want to learn these things, and you can either partner up with somebody who's an independent author. You got to find them, tell them, learn their secrets, et cetera, or hire somebody to do it for you.
Or you find a mid-level press, which is our friends Four Horsemen.
Right.
Are mid-level. They are they're not the top 5. That's the high tier. There's 5 publishers in the world.
5 publishers
the top
that
5
own
makes their authors do their own marketing unless they're James friggin' Patterson.
Or
which
Stephen
is
King.
disgusting and abhorrent.
Yeah.
Plus, these authors have to have an agent, so the agent's getting a cut of the royalties. So the author might be seeing Stephen King and James Patterson accepted.
Yeah.
They might be seeing like 5%, 8% in royalties.
Yeah.
Do you know what that amounts to?
Yeah, it's like less than $1 a book.
And turds. It doesn't work that way.
No, and especially since that's only being applied against your advance that you got.
If you even get an advance.
If you got an advance.
Yeah. Now, so a mid-tier publisher will still eat all the costs and will do all the things for you, getting your stuff formatted, teach you how to do this. They'll assign an editor and this. The only problem with them is that you'll have to follow their rules.
Right.
And if you don't, it comes out to bite you in the butt because they won't give you advances either for the most part. They will if you become big enough. But the nice thing about those is basically all that money you would have spent on your own is what they spend. And they're like, okay, once your book makes that back, that's when you start getting royalties.
Right.
And that's actually, but if anybody's asking for money up front, just
run.
That's your red flag.
That's your red flag.
Unless it's an editor, a cover designer,
something
maybe
you
like
have
a
to
book promotion service like Bargain Booksy, Free Booksy, BookBub featured deals, the Holy Grail.
That's advertising and marketing, though, for the most part.
Right. So advertising, marketing, covers, formatting. You don't pay for distribution. Never, ever pay for distribution.
No. If somebody's like,
with the exception
give us $3,000, we'll put you in Barnes & Noble. No.
Well, Ingram Spark does charge upload fees. Unless you're an Ally member, then you get a code every month where you get a certain number of uploads. I think they also work with other organizations.
Ingram is basically whenever some bookstore that isn't Barnes & Noble or something like that orders books, they order from a company called Ingram.
But even Barnes & Noble orders from them too,
They were the largest book distributor in the world. They still are.
I don't know, man. BookVault's on its way up.
BookVault is on its way up.
And I can't wait.
And so Ingram decided, hey, we see Amazon making money from all these self-pub books. We should too.
So. Yes.
I would rather have my books shipped from the UK. Which I actually just designed a custom notebook, and it's coming from the UK, and it's still costing me less than getting books through Ingram.
Which and now Amazon you'll get them cheaper, but
quality
now,
is.
Here's the big number. Here's the big number for those of you who have a book that you want to write, and you've written a book or have some strange idea that you think will make a great book, and you love it, and you write it, and you work your butt off on it, and then you decide to be one of those millions of people. You're like, you send it out to a few places, you get some rejection letters, and you're like, that's it, I'm publishing it myself.
Yes.
And then you decide to put it on Amazon, decide to put it on Ingram, whatever. 99.999999995% of those books. That's how many of those. That's almost, less than
virtually all
will sell less than 60 copies in their lifetime.
Statistically, all of the books will sell less than 60
copies in their lifetime. And that's including guys like James Patterson, Stephen King, who are selling millions of copies to throw the curve. That's the curve.
Yep.
You're still only getting that little bump.
Yep.
So just know that going in, that's what the market you're fighting.
That is, and the thing is, there's also a flip side on these numbers.
Yes.
And that is that the top 10% of authors in the field, are earning six figures.
Yes.
But
top 10.
There are two things that are happening there. One, you got super popular authors, and number two, you've got people who are writing 100 books, selling 60 copies each a year.
And that's where
they're writing a book every week.
Yeah, and that's
selling it.
I'm going to call
50,
BS on that number. Right
I think
I'm going to call BS on that number right now because I know plenty of indie authors breaking 6 and 7 figures a year.
Yes.
That are writing 60 books a year.
That's it.
Selling 100, 10,
yes.
100,
no, you're
1,000,
exactly
10,000
right. But they still only make 10%. Of
they're
the
part
people,
of that 10%.
Yeah, they're part of that 10%.
Yeah, they are part of that 10%. No, that's where I'm putting them. And I'm saying that's how those people are making that money. It's the people that are putting one book out.
It's not 100 books and 60 copies of each book. It's 60 books in a year or maybe even 40 or 50.
Yeah.
And they're selling thousands upon thousands upon thousands.
Yeah.
Look at Craig Martell. Look at Michael Anderle. A friend of mine who writes archaeological thrillers. Look at Nick Thacker. Look at, I could go... Elise Kova.
Amazing. She's amazing.
I could go on and on and on and on with these indie authors who are breaking 6 and 7 figures
and they're doing it all on their own, which
Kelly
is great.
Broker, Mel. What is Mel's last name? I can't remember it all of a sudden.
Gibson.
No. She writes the Help My Facebook Ads Suck books, but she also is super popular in sci-fi.
Yeah.
There's just so many of them, and to be able to learn from them is absolutely incredible. Yeah. Is it intimidating at the same time?
Here's the thing.
Absolutely.
Is their stuff big and popular because it's well written, well edited, well
generally,
or because they've got some kick-ass marketing techniques?
That is 100%.
All of the above.
They are really working. You have to have a quality product, and then you've got to have a hell of a good marketing program. Yeah. I think the figure is you need 7 books out there running, actually printed, in order to be able to finally switch and make a living at it.
Well, and
I'm not talking about 7 books that are selling 60 copies.
Well, I'm at 4, and
I'm
I've
at 7, working on 8.
Well, I'm doing pretty well, almost to the point where
the
I
average is 7. Yeah,
and but I'm with the traditional press, but I am with the largest independent press, which is Arcadia Publishing, History Press.
Yep.
But again, 99% of their books don't sell very well.
Right.
I'm a niche, and I've exploded. I'm their second biggest seller.
You are also doing that marketing thing.
The marketing and doing
that
the
we
events,
were saying,
the
hey, look, if I'm with Knopf, why are you running me ragged?
Yeah.
Okay, to do my own marketing.
Yeah.
But in your case, you know what you're getting into, and they know what you're getting into.
Yeah, but
and
could you have
that's
gotten
what
yourself into Cracker Barrel?
No, exactly, and that's just it. I couldn't have self-pubbed and got into Cracker Barrel and got into Target. I've done signings in Costco's. I've done signings.
We're not even going to talk about Target's unfair business practices towards authors.
Exactly. So that's what we're saying, gang. Is just give your local independent author a chance, but also if you are an independent author, look at all your options before you decide to just throw it out there self-pub. The minute you throw out something that you didn't edit, that you just typed up in 1 week, and you said, I'm done, I'm just going to throw it out there.
Or you hand it to somebody and say, tell me what you really think, and they say, okay.
And your mom says it's beautiful.
Don't start with a dream sequence in a flashback.
Yeah.
Okay? You're going to piss off your reader.
And guess what?
I actually had somebody give you a book
20 years later, you become a much better author. But that old original book was the first thing somebody saw of yours and hated it.
Ray Bradbury.
You're screwed.
Burn your first million words.
Yep.
Now, and talking about the marketing.
Well, the same is said about Stephen King. That's why they went back and started re-editing all of his books.
His old books, and that's why they all got terrible. 12 covers. But
one of the things I did was I knew that I wanted to have marketing out there for a book I'm writing called Escape the Empire. And it kind of worked out sort of sideways. But what I did was I said, what if I take the prequels to this, okay, and I turn them into an audio drama?
Nice.
And I get my friends to record
Audiobooks
them.
are huge.
And we did 16 episodes, okay, 2 seasons leading up to the book.
Yeah.
And so this is the advanced marketing. I never expected it to be the #1 steampunk, listing when you went on iTunes and put in the word steampunk.
Oh, yeah.
It came back as the #1 search find.
Yeah.
And that was great. It's not there anymore because the server crashed.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long
And that's
story.
also how they
But it was a ton of fun, and that is a way of marketing. Use multimedia. Write a prequel to whatever it is that you want, and release that in pieces. Build into it. Get your audience going. That's one thing you can do. Go, Mark.
No,
I've got it.
I'm just chomping at the bit because we have to talk about this one thing. We've only got 5 minutes left.
Go ahead.
And that is to the readers out there. This was a letter from a dear friend, Larry Correia, the author of the International Monster Hunter series.
Monster Hunter International.
Sorry, thank you. And he wrote this, and Amanda and I just were floored by this. He wrote this.
We have this conversation every week at our house.
I know Rothfuss and Martin hurt you, but it's time to get over it and move on. Yes, Patrick Rothfuss and George R.R. Martin are the 2 greatest fantasy writers of our age. But the problem is, neither of them have written anything in 10 plus years. George R.R. Martin has all that swag money from HBO because you see his shows, but his book from the original series still hasn't come out.
Didn't do the 8th season.
And then Patrick Rothfuss did the 2 books of the Kingkiller trilogy, and they were 5 years apart. His first 2 books, and now it's been another 10 years, and we still don't know.
Where's that final wrap up? Where's that piece?
And so a lot of people, a lot of authors are like, okay, I'm writing a new fantasy series, and you should read this.
Yeah.
And a lot of the readers go, oh, I'm not going to read that until it's done because I don't want to be burned.
And you will never get a deal for your 3rd book if the 1st and 2nd don't sell enough.
Exactly.
Rebecca Roanhorse has written 2 books in the Lightning something or other series, okay? Absolutely fantastic. And then she runs into a problem with either the Navajo Nation or her publisher or whatever the hell it is.
There's this
very
third company that's trying. It's kind of like a stolen valor thing where somebody wears a military uniform, and they're saying she's not 100% Native American, and so that she's billing herself as a Native American author, and this group
still not
is not
really
Native American group, but that's just it was just bad press, and it hit.
Okay, whatever it was, but it stopped her in the middle of a phenomenal trilogy. And so here's another thing feeding into this problem, which is not her fault. She wants to finish.
But Larry's comment was like, you're waiting for the next Tolkien, but you guys have killed him because you won't buy his first book. His first book's out there. It's amazing. Yeah. And it's one of those 99.99999%. And it's not selling because you guys aren't buying it. But that's also...
And it's not just books. People also do it with TV series.
Yep,
okay,
I won't.
When... speaking of, Moff Gideon, the guy who played him, the first place I saw him was in the post-apocalyptic Badlands.
Oh, yeah. Amazing series.
He was phenomenal in that. But Badlands also reminds me of Revolution.
Oh, gosh.
Revolution, 1.5 seasons, ended split season. It's like, wow, if I had known this was going to end in the middle of a season, I wouldn't have watched any of it.
Didn't Jericho do that too?
Jericho did that. Middleman did that. A lot of stuff.
There's a lot.
Yeah. But that's the old TV model. They would just end.
At
least
Netflix
Netflix they at least give us a whole season. They don't end mid-season.
Nah, but they sometimes will cancel it before it airs. So
then we don't see it anyway.
So we do. They put it up, but we already know there's not.
We already know there's not going to be a second season.
So nobody's going to watch it.
But still, if the fans do not invest in a series, a book, a TV show, whatever it is, okay, if the fans do not invest in it, neither will a publisher.
So I'm just saying,
it's that simple.
Yep. If you're out at a MegaCon or any convention and you see those little indie authors sitting at their desk trying to get you to read their books, give them 5 minutes of your time.
Yep.
Take a look at it. Read Amanda Byrd right here. Speaking of the devil, this is
as my website pops up.
As your website
what
pops
a coincidence.
Up. Physical books,
that's my
mugs,
shop.
apparel.
That's the shop.
Yeah, where can they find that?
Shop.amandabird.net. And then the regular website is amandabird.net. Yes, BYRD.
BYRD. And and your series is a lot of fun. Hey, look at that. There you can find mine. You can find mine in every Cracker Barrel and Walgreens in the state of Florida, but you can also find our stuff on our EerieFlorida.com website.
Yep.
And Anthony, can we find
you
your
can go to
stuff?
the Omega Contingent. I've got a new nonfiction book coming out. Well, I actually, it's a revised version of that one. It's on business marketing. But then I've got Escape the Empire coming out, and I'm really excited. I'm about 50, 60,000 words into that one. And I'm looking forward to getting that one. That's probably going to be 80, 90,000 when it's done.
So what's your next book, Amanda?
What's your next book?
Oh, God. It's 13 Reasons for Murder, Harlow. And that'll be out at some point this year. I'm hoping for around the summer.
Nice.
I've had a few setbacks so far. So.
It happens. It happens.
Hey, that's what authors do. They say.
Well, gang, we've got just a few seconds left. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hope you all enjoyed this rant.
Yeah, we ran 35 minutes on The Mandalorian, so but it was a lot of fun. So and about 20 minutes on books, which was good. So
that's what it's all about.
And we threw a little bit of Picard.
So thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week. Get back to us in the comments if you want us to discuss something.
Yeah,
and we'll go from there.
Go get Amanda's books while you're doing it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much, and we will see you all next week.